I'm sharing my screen. Let me know if you're able to see.
Yeah, can see.
Yeah, can see.
Okay. Yesterday we discussed about methods in Python. So any questions on that?
No, not from me.
Okay. And in one of the previous sessions, we discussed about Lambda functions. And prior to that, we also discussed about user-defined functions. So when discussing user-defined functions, we learned that we can create functions and we can define our own logic to basically define that function and then call it. In that function, we were defining or basically entering multiple statements to define a logic. But once we talked about Lambda functions, which were the anonymous functions, there we learned how to write a simple code in just one line of statement. Similarly, in comprehensions, we will be writing just one liner of statement to create the output as a list or as a set or as a dictionary as well. So comprehensions basically are just one liner statements that is used to define your logic, and output will be always be a set, dictionary, or a list. There is a fourth type of comprehension which is known as generator comprehensions. So at the end of the session I am going to talk about that because that is a little different topic, and generators will be covered in the later sessions in detail because generators and decorators, both of these topics are very important. And but yeah, for now we will talk about list comprehensions, uh, set comprehensions, and dictionary comprehensions. Let's understand the theory about the comprehensions. So comprehensions in Python provide us with a short and concise way to construct new sequences. Sequences can be, you can reference it to collections that we have discussed like list, set, or dictionary, such as list, set, or dictionary, etc., using sequences which have been already defined. This means that we already have a collection in place. It can be a list, set, or it can be dictionary, tuple, anything. Using existing collections, we are going to manipulate them something like somehow to create a new list or a new set or a new dictionary. So Python supports the four types of comprehensions: list comprehensions, dictionary, set comprehensions, and generator comprehensions. This term is something new for you guys, generator. So we will definitely talk about this topic later. But in this session, we will mostly talk about list, dictionary, and set comprehensions because we are already aware about what are the list, dictionary, and sets. Now, talking about list comprehensions provide us list comprehensions provide us an elegant way to create new lists. So as I already explained, we will be using existing collections to create a new collection after performing some operations on them. List comprehension is used to create list in one line. I already told you that these comprehensions are just one-liner statements that we are going to execute, just like Lambda functions. But there we were talking about functions, but here these are not functions. These are just the comprehensions, which means everything you have to write in one line, but not as a function. These are just the manipulation on the existing collections. That's it. The following is the basic structure of a list comprehension. So what this is the basic syntax that you can keep in your mind while working on comprehensions. So as we know, for defining a list, we have to use the square brackets. But before that, I'm like creating a variable. This is the variable name which I'm giving output list, and then after equal to, we are actually give the complete comprehension, which is the topic for today. So if you want to create a list comprehension, you will use square brackets, as we know. To create a set comprehension, we use curly braces, and we will talk about how to create dictionary functions in this session later. Now, to create a list comprehension, after starting with square brackets, you have to define the expression first. So the first thing that you have to define in the comprehension is the expression, which means the calculation or any manipulation on the existing collection. You have to define it here. Basically, the logic will come here, and then you have to start the for loop. For loop will be used to iterate through each element of the existing collection. After for, you have to define the variable. Like this is simple for loop that we used to define earlier as well, and that is the syntax for var in input list. Var is something that like we used to write for I in L. this is something like for var in input list. This can be anything. We will take various examples of it. And after for loop, if you want to define, if you also want to give the conditions on them, you can give the condition post for loop. So if cannot be preceded to for loop, you have to write if it as the suffix. I think someone is not on mute. Okay. So if should be always come after for loop, and you have to provide the if condition as per this given syntax. So don't worry, we will talk about this through various examples. So now let's create a program to store the even numbers of list in a list using traditional approach. So what we used to do, so suppose this is a existing list that we have, like input list, in which we have several elements, and now we have created a empty new list by name of output list. So basically we will check what are the even numbers in this list, and we are going to take that and will append it into output list. So the logic that we are going to define is, we will run a for loop on the input list to check each element if they are even or odd, and then we are going to write if num modulus 2 is equal to 0. What it will check in each iteration, it will check the element if the remainder is leaving as 0 or not. If it is 0, which means the number is even, it will append the, so yesterday we talked about various methods. So append is one of the methods that are applied on the lists. So this is a list method. So what we are doing, output list, which means this list, append methods basically append the element at the end of the list. So what it will append, we are giving the argument as num. So num is the first element, or basically the number which is meeting this condition. So the first element which will be appended to output list will be 2, since this is the element which is meeting the condition, and this append statement is coming inside the if condition. So this way all the even numbers will be appended to this output list. And now finally, after completing this all the iterations in this for loop, this will be ended, and you can see print is not indented under the for loop, it is out of the for loop. And finally we are going to print output list as output list, which is this. Let's run this and see the output. You can see output list colon, and after that we are getting the complete list of even numbers 2 4 4 6 8. It is removing the odd numbers. So this is the basic application of the method that we discussed yesterday, which was one of the methods which was append. Now to achieve this same functionality using list comprehension, first of all let's count how many rows we have written here. So this is 1 2 3 4 5 and 6. So 6 rows we used to create a new list using the traditional approach. Now using list comprehension, this this line will be same and the last line will also be same, but the logic that we're going to write will be in just one line. Let's see how. Using list comprehension, that I already explained that you have to start it with the square brackets, and we are giving the output list as using list comprehension. This is the name of the output list. You can give any name here. Now you have to write the expression. So expression here is just num, because we are just extracting the number. We are not manipulating it by performing any operations on them. And now we are checking for for num in input list. So it will iterate through each element of this input list, and it will basically assign the value of each number into num, and it will check if num is leaving any remainder or not. So always if condition will come after for loop within the comprehension. So after checking this condition, if it is meeting the criteria, the num will be taken as the output, and it will go to this list, which is the output list. Similarly, it will happen for all the iterations, and finally this list will have now all the even numbers as per the logic defined in the comprehension. So basically the structure of the list comprehension is first of all expression, then for loop, and then if condition. But there is one catch that I'm going to explain later once we introduce if else both. Currently we just have if condition, but in case we will have if else both in just one comprehension, I'm going to explain what is the catch in this statement. But I hope that for now it is clear to you. And finally we are running the same statement as you can see, output list, and I'm just changing the list name here. So it is going to output the same list that was there in as per the above logic. And we are also checking the type of using list comp, which should be a list. You can see that the output is exactly same as per the above list also. And the type of this list is basically it belongs to class list. So what we can see using this expression, or basically a comprehension using the square brackets, we are able to create a new list using an existing list based on some for loop and if condition. So this is the basic program that we can write using the comprehensions. So any questions on this till now? Anyone?
No, not for me. I'm okay with.
Okay. Now we are going to create a new program in which we are finding out a square of a number and storing it a new list. I hope you now have an idea like how to create a list comprehension and how to put the logic behind it. So again, I am going to explain it using the traditional approach. We are creating a new list which is output list, and for num in range, basically I am including a range rather than including the existing list. So we are writing for num in range 1 to 10, so it will exclude the stop position which is 11, and we are appending this num square 2. So basically in each iteration it will do, in the first iteration it will append the square of 1 which is 1, in the second iteration it will append 4 which is the square of 2, and similarly it will go beyond, it will go up to number 10. So the 10 square is 100. And finally we are printing the list as output list here, and using the list comprehension we are rewriting this logic like this. We're creating a new list using list underscore comp, and this is the logic that is done in just one line. So this is my expression that I want as the output. This is the same expression that I have used in the above example. For num in range, it will iterate through each element that is there in this range. And in this question, I don't have any if logic, so that can be removed for now. This syntax is sufficient for me to create a new list from an existing range. And once this list is created, we are uh, outputting it by writing output list using list comprehension, and this is the list in which it stores all the squares of the numbers. By running this, you can see that we are getting the same output for both of these methods. Okay, now we can again check the type of it. It will belong to class list. And then another question is to reverse each element of the list. If you know the logic now, how to reverse a list, how to square a list, how to square a number, how to maybe subtract a number, all these logics that we have defined from very beginning in the various examples, I think this should be fine to you. And if you know like now how to reverse a list, you can do that yourself, but I'm going to explain it again. I'm creating a list which have multiple cities listed in this list, and then I'm creating a new list with by name of reversed underscore cities, in which the logic that I'm going to define is I colon colon minus 1. Basically, the first position is null, and the stop position is also null, and the step position is minus 1. This means it is going to, first of all, can anyone tell me what would be the output of this? If you know the logic, how to reverse it. Any guesses? What would be the output of this?
It will first reverse the Delhi, then Noida, then Gurgaon. That way.
Yes, that is the thing that I wanted to check. You are correct. If you're thinking that this will reverse the list, that is wrong. Like if you're thinking that Faridabad will come first and then Gurgaon and then Noida and then Delhi, then this is wrong, because we have not used just the reverse of the list. We have also included the for loop. So in the first iteration, it will pick up Delhi, it will reverse all the characters of it, and then it will be storing into the reversed underscore cities. Similarly for other cities as well. So by running this, now we can see the output. All the cities have been reversed, but not the list positions. Okay. The next question is fetch only first character of each element in the list. Now we just want to fetch the first character of each element like D, N, G, and F. This is very simple like above example. So here we are just giving the first position, which is 0. That's it. And we are getting the respective output. Next question is to count each alphabet in a given string. So by running a for loop on this string, we can get a basically in each iteration it will pick P, then Y, T, H, and respectively till E. So what we are doing, we are creating a list comprehension, and we are writing alpha, comma, mystring.count, and this is again a method that we discussed yesterday. So basically count checks the occurrences of a specific string, or you can say any keyword in a string. Now we are saying for alpha in my string. So what it will do, it will iterate through each character and it will check if P, first of all, in the first iteration, it will take P and it will check in complete string how many occurrences of P are there. Similarly, in the second iteration, it will check for Y, how many occurrences of Y is there in this complete string. And it will do it for all these characters that are there in the list. But this program will not work. The reason is we are doing for alpha in my string. We know that by running this for loop, we will get only a character from this string. So in the first iteration, we will just get P. But what we are doing here, we are basically using two operations from the element that we have received. We are saying alpha, comma, my string dot count of alpha. So that means we are trying to first of all extract the original character, which is P, and also we are checking the count as well. So this is not accepted by list comprehension. You can see that it is a invalid syntax. So to overcome this error, we have to modify it somehow. We can write inside this print statement, and we can write the same text that we have written, but print statement should end at this position. Then only it can work. And this is how list comprehensions work. There is no alternative to it. Maybe you can try, and if you know, like, you can also tell me. But for as for my knowledge, this is how it can work. We have to include it in the print statement, and then you can include the character, each character, and then you can check how many occurrences of that character is coming in this complete string by running this loop. Now if I run this, you can see it is listing all the occurrences of the characters that are coming in this string. So as you can see that O is coming 2 times, S is coming 2 times, even blank characters, it is counting that they are coming 2 times. So this is how you can write such programs. I think from the previous session, we have learned a lot, and some of the problems we are now able to solve using the methods. And also now some of the problems can be easily solved by these comprehensions as well. Now coming to next question, which is important for understanding, although it is simple, but if you don't understand, you can be confused later.
Kashish, one question here.
Yep.
Any specific use of these comprehensions? Because we can solve these problems with a regular like conventional way, right?
Right.
So apart from like efficiency, is there any particular case where we use these comprehensions?
Yes, definitely. So as I told you while discussing about lambda functions, so lambda functions comes handy when we are going to work with the advanced functions such as map, reduce, accumulate, reduce. So there, if we are going to create the user-defined function just for defining a small logic, then that can be overhead for you as well. And suppose I don't want to reuse that function multiple times, what I can do, I can directly use lambda functions inside a map or reduce function. Similarly, for list comprehensions as well, if you're doing it from the traditional logic, which is this. So what we are doing here, first of all, we are creating a new list, and we are creating this new list permanently, basically, right? But using the list comprehensions, if we are going to use these comprehensions with the advanced functions which are map reduce, so we can directly pass on this list comprehension without creating a list, basically. So it will not consume our memory, and these are uh, this will play a vital role while working with those functions, in which we can directly pass on these comprehensions without creating a list in advance.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
You meant to say like in lengthy scripts we would be going with the short lines of codes?
In the like complex programs, you should create user-defined functions. There is no alternative to it. But yes, for small, you can say manipulations or some very small calculations, you can use lambda functions, and if it can be used, you can use list comprehensions. So once we move to the advanced functions, you will get a fair understanding why we are using it.
Okay.
Yep. And yes, these comprehensions are being asked in the interviews. So yes, you should practice. And because like somewhere, like if you're creating a program, you can just write one statement, and that's doing the thing for you. You have to not define a blank list first and then define the complete logic that we were doing here, where you have to first of all define a list and then write a for loop, and then you should be considering the indentation as well. So this somehow it is like taking much efforts from us, but here you are just writing it complete syntax in just one line. So although it is efficient, but yes, another use is we can directly use it inside a function without creating a list in advance like this. So we are going to discuss these things when we will talking about map and reduce, all those functions. You will get better understanding on it. Coming to the next question, and now you should understand like uh, what we are going to do here. We are using nested list comprehensions now. Till the previous question, we have just used single comprehension, but now we are going to use comprehension inside a comprehension. So that is known as nested list comprehensions. And the question is, find square of numbers returned from inner list comprehension. First of all, I am going to run a comprehension which will run in the range of 1 to 11. And I will extract a list of all the elements between this range, which is 1 to 10. So it will basically create a list from 1 to 10. And then the output of this inner list comprehension will be taken as the input by the outer list comprehension, which is this, where we are saying square of num. Basically, we are doing the square of the number from each iteration of this list, which means, so first of all, let's understand that what will be the output of this list. So the numbers from 1 to 10 will be the output of this list. Then we are running each iteration on this list, which is 1 to 10. And in the first iteration, we will get 1. And that 1 will be stored in this sq underscore num variable. And we are performing operations on it to make a square of it. And that square will be stored in the actual output list, which is squared. Similarly, in the second iteration, we will get the input as 2, and that will be stored in sq underscore num. It will do the square, and it will be stored in the final list. And it will go up to number 10, and the output will be this. And here we have used nested list comprehensions. That means in the first list, we first of all extracting all the numbers that is coming in the range. And then in the outer comprehension, we are taking that range as a input and finding the squares of each element. And then we are storing all the element squares in a final list, which is named by squared. Now, to expand this list more, this is a 3-level nested comprehension where, first of all, we are running a range from which the output will be a list containing numbers 1 to 10. This will act as an input to the between layer, like middle layer, which says find the square of each number that is taken as the input from this list. So it will basically find out the squares, which means it will get this output till the middle layer. Now this output will go to the output layer as the input, which says multiply each element by 2. And we are writing m multiply by 2 for m in this complete list. If you now have like understanding how it is executing, you can include as many layers as you want. And by running this, you can see we are getting the squares of, not squares, the doubles of this list. Are these examples clear where we are talking about nested list comprehensions?
Yeah.
Okay. Now talking about the next examples. Suppose I'm writing creating a list. So this is also a nested list, and basically if I'm going to create a nested list, first of all, as we know, list can contain compound data types or heterogeneous data types. So they can include numbers, strings, or even list inside a list, as I'm defining here. So the first two elements are the numbers, third element is the string, and the fourth element is a list. And if I'm going to run this, you can see that the fourth element, which is the last element, is a list inside a list. So we can also store such elements inside a list. Now if you want to create these lists inside a list using a list comprehension, this can be tricky, so you should focus on the syntax. So here what we are doing, first of all, we are starting a list comprehension using the square brackets, and then this is a nested list comprehension that we are defining. So always the nested list comprehension, innermost list, nested comprehension will be executed first. So it will be executed as I for I in range 1 to 4. So basically the output of this list comprehension will be a list which contains number 1, 2, and 3. It will not include 4 because this is a stop position. So now till now we understand that the output will be a list which contains 1, 2, and 3. Now this will go as an input, not the input. This will go as the, you can say, expression to this list, which we are saying for I in range 1 to 5. So as this is the expression which is 1 to 3, this will be basically multiplied this much times for I in range 1 to 5. So the output that we will get will look something like this. So inside a complete list, we are including multiple lists. That is the output of this inner list. So 1 to 3, I mean the inner list we have received from this list comprehension, and then this went as an expression for the for loop that we are including here, which basically tells Python to run the same list comprehension, same list multiple times, which means 4 times. So again, this can be tricky to understand, but yeah, if you understand the concept, like this can be used somewhere if you are working with the multiple list, and maybe in future if you are working with NumPy arrays, where we have to, this is, you can say, this you can consider as a 2D array somehow, although it is a list, but you can consider it as a 2D array. But in NumPy arrays, we can go beyond 2D, 3D, 4D, any dimension you want to create. And if you are getting this concept of dimensions, this will be very helpful for you if you are going to work on deep learning. I mean TensorFlow and like those libraries, PyTorch and Keras as well. So this is how we can create a nested list inside a list. And the next example is multiply number by 3 if it is less than 0, else multiply it by 2. So this is the condition that we have to apply inside the list comprehension. Now this is the example where I wanted to show that there is a catch while working with list comprehensions. So you should understand it right now, like what is the catch. Otherwise, if you are going to do the practice later, you may face some errors, like why it is not working. So in the previous example, if I go up and where we have used if condition. Yep. So in this example, you can see that first of all, we have defined an expression, and then we have included a for loop. And at the end, we have defined a if condition. But I already told you that once we are going to talk about if else both, then this will be changed. Now the precedence, or you can say the positions of this for loop and if condition will be changed now. Now you have to focus how it will work along with if else. So using if else, okay, I'm here. No, okay, we are here. So using if else, first of all, you have to include the expression, that is fine. Then you don't have to include the for loop first. If you are including if else conditions both, then if else will come before for loop. This is the catch, because if you are using just if condition, that will come after for loop. But if you are using both if and else, that will come before for loop inside the list comprehensions. Otherwise you can get some errors if you change the sequence of them. I can show you right away. First of all, we can run this where we are saying multiply a number by 3 if it is less than 0, else multiply it by 2. We are saying multiply the number by 3, I multiply by 3 if I is less than 0. And one more thing, this is the same concept that we have already discussed in the lambda functions as well, that the output of the if condition will always come before if condition, but the output of else condition will always come after the else statement. So if and else will come in between the output of them. So for if, we are defining the output as before if. For else, we are defining the output of it after else. So we are multiplying by 3 if it is less than 0, else we are multiplying it by 2. For I in range -5 to 8. So basically the range will start from -5, and since the number is less than 0, it will multiply it by 3. So we should get the output as -15, -12, and -9, and up to +7, which means 7 multiplied by 2. So we will get the output as 14. So let's see the output. Yes, -15, -12, and up to +14. So the catch to note here is just the if else conditions, how we are presenting it in the list comprehension. And now if I show you how, if I change the sequence of them, if I'm going to write if else condition after the for loop, then you can see it is saying that it is invalid syntax. But if I remove else condition from here, now you can see it will work. So this is how it works in list comprehensions. So you should remember this thing, that when you are working with only if, it will come after for loop, but if you are working with if else, it will always come before for loop. So any questions on this?
No, it's fine, Kashish.
Okay, so let's quickly rejoin because it will end in just 4 minutes, and then we can continue. Okay. I'm going to stop my share.